I didn't watch the DNC debate, talking about with Ellison, Perez, and all the guys trying to fill the DNC chair. So I do want to go over a little bit of it. I'm going to probably do these in a series of kind of quick shots, just kind of reviewing what's going to take place. I'm preparing myself to be annoyed as hell right off the bat. I suspect that they're going to say everything is fine. All of them are united. They're trying to go against Trump. Nothing took place in the primaries that was weird or strange. Now, the only person who's going to deviate from that line is Sam Ronan. Alright, so let's see. Let's go.
Now in the second month of President Trump's presidency this weekend, one of you will become the DNC chair and a leading voice of the opposition. Secretary Perez, I want to start with you. You've said that Democrats should hit President Trump between the eyes with a 2x4 and treat him like Mitch McConnell treated Barack Obama. But you've also said you'd be for Donald Trump if he ensures that everyone can have access to the American dream. So as DNC chair, would you work with President Trump or would you work to stop him?
Well, I think Donald Trump from day one has showed that he has a far-right agenda. He does not want to do what is necessary to move America forward. He wants to move America backward. We saw it 2 hours into his administration where he made it harder for first-time home buyers to buy a home by rescinding an Obama-era rule that would have made it easier for them to do that. 3 hours later, he files a motion in Texas to stay a proceeding on the case involving the voter ID law that I was involved in. So we have seen from the get-go that this person wants to turn the clock back, and the Democratic Party needs to take the fight to Donald Trump. When we lead with our values, when we lead with our conviction, that's how we succeed. And I've lost my voice going all over the country. And what I'm saying to people is, my voice may be crackly now, but when we take over by implementing this 50-state strategy and making sure that Democrats have a voice, that is how we return the power to the people.
Thank you, Congressman.
Returning power to the people. That kind of assumes that at some point the people had that power, right? What does Tom Perez mean by that? Look, I have to be honest. I don't know what he said. Yes, I got across that he got across he doesn't like Trump. Fair enough. But what did he actually tell you about anything? He said 50-state strategy, which nobody knows what that means. And Trump's a bad guy. That's all he said. I mean, look, even when he's... And I know he doesn't have necessarily a long time to go into it, but I guess the point I'm making is it's tepid stuff that he's bringing up to chest thump in that way. It's like, yeah, I stood up to help people to make sure that people have the right to vote. It's like, good, you're a person. You should do that. But that shouldn't necessarily be a Democrat or Republican thing. That should just be a thing that you do to ensure people vote. So he did it, so that's fine. But it's like, what else? Like, what else are you hanging your head on? I mean, yes, the Obama thing, the housing mortgage thing. But a lot of people lost their houses because of your president's policies, dude. Not to mention, many of the people who got filthy rich and who were protected were done so under your departments, including Obama himself. All I'm saying is, hey, yes, Trump's a bad guy, but you guys lack the position. It's almost as if, I've noticed this with Rachel Maddow also. And it's not something that I realized before. It's one of those things I guess kind of came into that awareness at a certain point. And it just became somewhat clear. It was like, these guys are hypocrites. Now, look, for some degree, I think that took an Obama presidency to bring about. And that sounds crazy, but I honestly think it did. I think to see such a wide disparity between hope and change. This is what I am, hope and change. These are the things that I say. Progressive values. versus the opposite taking place. Essentially, enshrining the Bush tax cuts in the law, giving just massive amounts of wealth to the top 1%, protecting Wall Street, passing a right-wing healthcare bill, and protecting the drug companies in the process of passing that bill. All I'm saying is, this is not a special record. That's all I'm saying. You're a Democratic president, and you've taken positions like Ronald Reagan. So, yes, that's good. I applaud you for doing that stuff. But, come on, keep it moving.
Ellison.
Donald Trump has already brought the fight our way. I mean, I would add on that he has implemented and moved forward on the ban for people based on their religion. He has said he's going to build this wall. He has already made...
Alright, this is going to be a really bad joke. And I know there are going to be some social justice words out there. But I don't care, I gotta say it. Keith Ellison brought up the Muslim ban as the very first thing. Really, dude? Is Keith Ellison concerned that he's going to be deported by Donald Trump? And I know he's American. I'm just saying, that's the first thing he brought up. I'm a Muslim. I'm talking about the Muslim ban. Identity! Alright, go ahead.
Clear where he is coming from. But I think that the DNC has a special role to play. Yes, the protests are awesome, and I support them, and I participated. But we can actually help Democrats win all over the country so that we can get rid of Donald Trump, so that we can block the action that are hurting Americans all the time. When Democrats lose elections, bad things happen to good people. And we cannot stand back and tolerate it. And the tool that we have at our disposal is to win elections. And that means we go to 3,143 counties all over this country. That means we turn on during the off year. That means we focus on turnout. That is how we succeed.
Thank you. Mayor Buttigieg.
Yeah, there's no question that we've got to bring the fight to Donald Trump. Every falsehood has to be met with fact. Every outrage has to be met with a response. But it's also not all about Donald Trump. We got to get back to talking to people,
Sensible person,
people in terms of their everyday lives, not the politics and the politicians, whether it's ours or theirs. We got to make sure we're talking about our values. And every time he does something that offends...
Stop with your values, man. You can't make that argument. I'm sorry, you can't. It aggravates the shit out of me every time I hear you use that word. What are your values? What are your values? I am unclear about what your values are. You've had 8 years in power. Some of that time in which you had absolute power. What are your values? Shouldn't I be able to see your values based upon the things that you did when you were in office for all that time? Right? I mean, look, if they're your values, if they're espousing the things that you do and the things that you say, I should be able to see the tangible works of your values. I don't see them. What I see is Donald Trump in office, in the White House, after Obama left and let a lot of people down who could not bring themselves to vote for Hillary Clinton. That's what I see. So, yeah, stop talking about your values, dude.
our values, that insults our values, or that hurts real people, and he's doing it every day, then we've got to stand up to fight for people in terms of what it means for us in our actual lives. Donald Trump's gotten to be like a computer virus in the American political system. He ties up our minds and our processing power with these equations that don't even have any solutions until the system overheats and breaks down. Yes, we got to take the fight to him, but we can't let him dominate our imagination because it's our values and our candidates that matter most.
Thank you. Congress.
He spent the entire time talking about Donald Trump, while at the exact same time saying we should not let him dominate our conversation. Really? And look, what he said is somewhat right. He's like, look, we shouldn't spend all the time talking about Donald Trump. But he spent all of his time talking about Donald Trump as he said you shouldn't spend all this time talking about Donald Trump. It's just weird. Don't tell me of values, dude. Tell me what you're going to do. Don't assume that people think that their idea of your values are the same as your idea of your values. Trust me, I have no clue what your values are. I have nothing to show tangibly for those values. You're just assuming that because you're saying that word that people will somehow believe that those values are good. Why would you assume that? Are you unaware of the impression that people have of the Democratic Party? Clearly you are. I think all of you are. Because otherwise you would not be saying this value stuff. You would espouse exactly what you're talking about. If you're talking about healthcare, you should mention healthcare. If you're talking about worker co-ops, you should mention worker co-ops. Tell people what you're talking about. 50 straight strategy. Values. That doesn't wash. I don't know what that is. I know what healthcare is. I know what protecting Social Security is. I know what primarying other Democrats who don't have the balls to stand up against policies that Trump pushed through, whether it's tax cuts or Supreme Court pick. That's what I know.
Congressman Ellison, three of your colleagues in the House, Maxine Waters, Jamie Raskin, and Joaquin Castro, have publicly raised the specter of impeaching President Trump. Do you stand with them or with House Leader Nancy Pelosi, who believes impeachment talk is premature?
I think that Donald Trump has already done a number of things which legitimately raise the question of impeachment. I mean, on day one, he was in violation of the emoluments clause. This is a part of the Constitution that says, as the president, you can't get payments from a foreign power. The day people checked into his hotel and started paying him, who were foreign dignitaries, he was in violation of that law. There's already a lawsuit filed against him, and right now, it's not about only Donald Trump. It is about the integrity of the presidency. So yeah, I think that we need to begin investigations to not go after Donald Trump, but to protect our Constitution and the presidency of the United States, to make sure.
I knew it was going to be aggravated by watching it. Explain to me something, Mr. Ellison, or Representative Ellison. When Obama came into office, he had the House, Senate, and he had the presidency. The prior president lied this country into a war, killed upwards of 1 million people, spent upwards of $6 trillion, not to mention 3 million or 3,000 Americans. You believe that Donald Trump has done something that has warranted his ability to be impeached, or has warranted impeachment. I don't remember you making this case that they should have went after Bush when you guys took power back in 2008. Certainly, murdering up to 1 million people is far worse than anything Trump has done up to this point. How are you going to make the case about impeachment if you didn't have the integrity to go after Bush when you guys took power? Integrity is not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. And if you're going to be affiliated with a party, yes, it is going to be difficult to pull off, because the things that your party is going to do will, by definition, make you hypocritical. You don't believe me? Look at what's happened in this last 8 years. Look at what's going on now. So, I get it. I'm not saying that Ellison is wrong. Yes, Donald Trump had that issue when he came in, but they're talking about impeachment. And they're making this argument about impeachment when the last president, even if you're talking about Obama and those terror bombings or whatnot, the president made the decision that he himself, in the executive branch, without the intervention of court, can make the decision on who he wanted to kill. How is that not an impeachable offense? At which point did the president become a king? So yeah, I get it. You don't particularly like Trump. Trump is a horrible guy. He's a goblin. I get it. It's easy to hit a goblin. You guys had the opportunity that would have done immense, whether you realize it or not. The things that you guys are angry about now with Trump, those are things that let ride only because he did nothing when Bush did what he did. When Trump starts another war, nothing happened to Bush when he started that war, when he lied us into that war. There was no consequence. There was no consequence when Bush was torturing people. It is against our law. It is against international law. There was no consequence. How is one okay? You give that a pass when you get in office and you get in power, and you're supposed to be in the responsibility of doing something about it. The other guy is a kleptocrat. And yes, he's an asshole, and he's a gross human being. But certainly, nothing he's done up to this point has come anywhere near close to killing upwards of 1 million people, or, for that matter, having the presidency making the determination on who he can kill, absent the judicial branch. And while you guys are terrified of what Trump is going to do in that office, you guys completely forget that Obama continued to expand the powers of the presidency, continue to accrue powers in the executive branch, handing over secret files about NSA files to all these other departments just before he even left office. You guys have no fucking credibility at all.
That nobody can monetize the presidency and make profit off of it for their own gain.
Ms. Green?
Absolutely. When he commits an impeachable offense, the Democratic Party has to be that last line of defense for our Constitution and for this country. We don't have the luxury to take a back seat as this man is arrogantly marching us towards fascism. So I am on the side of holding him accountable.
We have 5% of the world's population. We have 25% of the world's population in our prisons. We have more people in our prisons than China, and they have 3 times our population. We have more people in our prisons than Russia did at the height of the revolution. What is she talking about? It was her president that passed the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that allowed them to lock up Americans, indefinitely detain American citizens, to use military operations on home soil. Massive surveillance, massive spying all across the United States that was illegal, by the way. That was your president. So this march to fascism that you're now all of a sudden aware of, that march to fascism was taking place as they were torturing people in a torture camp in Guantanamo. And when your president didn't do shit about it. Not to mention, expanded the terrorism of those drone wars. Yeah, man, I'm not watching this. This is going to annoy the shit out of me. I don't know what's wrong with these people. They're living in a goddamn bubble. This is an absolute illusion. None of this stuff is real. They're saying things. It's just spouting shit off. There's no basis in reality whatsoever. And they're just talking to each other as if nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah, this is fucking aggravating. So, look, I'm going to end this here. Have a good one, guys.